Hey everyone, Maury Curtis Dunbar here at Painted Studio. Welcome back. It is fully November now. We've changed the time back, and I hope you all are still managing to figure out the time of day because I'm still a little confused. Now, give me just a second. Let me see if I can pull myself up live. Yes, I can. Put my notifications off, put on the comments so I can see what's going on, and we are all set. So if you might have noticed from the description, we are getting in the holiday spirit. So today we will be working on one of these big bad boys from Michaels. Now this is one that says Happy Holiday. It's got the little truck up on top with the Christmas tree, very traditional. But before we do that, we have one small project that we're working on. So I want to set that back there, just get it out of the way. I was redoing, as you might remember from a week or so ago, we were redoing our welcome sign. I have painted it with black set coat. I have applied the Artsyville foil adhesive. It's been sitting for an hour. That's partially why we're running a little later today than usual, because studio seems to be a little humid today, and my foil adhesive did not want to set up. And what we're going to be doing today with our sign is we're going to be using one of our new foils so you can get the layering idea behind it. So let's flip this down. And let me make sure you're seeing me here. Okay, so you can see it says welcome. And the first thing we're going to do, we're going to apply two foils on it, hopefully today. Hopefully the humidity out today, because it's been stormy and stuff around here. So hopefully the humidity will allow me to do the second layer. We're going to apply our Berkeley squares in silver over this. So you can see it's a dark pattern, dark background. And the reason why is that we're going to then apply the baby's breath foil over it. And so I wanted a good dark background so that we could see the contrast. Now, because we foiled this once before, and so it's a little less smooth than it would have been the first time around. Excuse me, let me get a sip of water. There we go. But because we're doing that dark, we want to do that baby's breath, and I want to make sure you all can see the contrast. I chose a dark pattern, where the first time I did this, I did a very bright rainbow pattern because it was sitting outside of the old studio, all bright and shiny. Well, this is going on a private door in the studio, since we're in a different setup now. So I can kind of do it the way I want to, and I thought this would be just great to do a test on here. So now, if you haven't used foils before, you apply a base color, then you apply the Artsyville foil adhesive, and let it sit for a minimum of an hour. That is to let it get to the proper adhesion, the proper tackiness, so that the foil will release well. If you see white spots even after an hour, let it dry a little more. Foil adhesive can sit on here permanently, and it will never ever get unsticky. It doesn't dry hard. So you can walk away from this for a year, come back. Hopefully the dust won't have coated it, but it will still be sticky. And then you use our foils, which are gorgeous patterns. And foils have a pretty side, which shows the pattern. Sorry, there's something red in front of me. That's the new gesso product. So it's reflecting red on here as I'm showing this to you. And then it has a not so pretty side. And it is always the not so pretty side that goes down to the sticky surface. Why is that? It's because this pattern is actually mounted on the back of the foil, not the front. I know it's counterintuitive for a lot of people, but you just have to think of it like as when you were a kid doing temporary tattoos, and you put the tattoo face up with the pattern facing up, and then wet the paper. peel it off and the tattoo would stick. Well, it's sort of the same idea. This is mounted on the back of a carrier film, and so you want to put it pretty side up, and when we peel it off, it will transfer the pattern, it will leave the pattern behind. All right, I'm giving this a rub with my hands, and then I'm going to take a scrub brush, and if you can find an older scrub brush like this, we have black ones, it's got fuzz in it. Good Lord. We found these in the packing and the moving, and now they've got fuzz in them from all of that. And I don't want the fuzz near the adhesive. Whew. I got one piece of fuzz on here that just doesn't, oh, it's hair. That's why it's probably my hair. You want a stiff bristle. These little soft, the newer ones that have soft bristles aren't as good. Aren't able to put as much pressure and scrub as aggressively. My brush has crud in it from being moved around, so I'm hoping it doesn't stick to anything. This is not what I didn't know that this was going to be this way today. Okay, then we go back and forth. Vertical and horizontal give you the best results. Do not scrub in swirls unless you're on a round shape. And the reason is that there is a chance that if you have an imperfect release, you're going to see those swirl marks, and they're not attractive. You want the vertical and the horizontal give you the best pattern release. Now, I am coming up here, and if you notice, I'm not going right here because I shorted myself just a little bit right here, so I don't want to have a seam up at the top. I'll come back and just put a little more over there, and it'll look terrific. But I want to leave it kind of soft. Oh, this is releasing very, very nicely. And I'm peeling it back slowly just because it's been humid down here, and I was a little concerned on how my release was going to go. But it seems to be going very, very nicely, except for one spot right there. So I'm approaching it cautiously, just to make sure that I get everything on here that I want. Oh, I see what it is. I had a little dribble down the side. I told you it's a Monday, all right, but look how nicely that came out. First of all, look how great my transfer is. You can see just how well it released. And all I'm going to do to fix that spot up at the top where I didn't have the foil laying out is I'm going to take that, and I'm just going to do this with my fingers. I'm not doing it with the brush because I don't want to take the chance of scratching. And let me do a little more rub there. Give a little more rub here. And perfect. Great result. Now, I know you probably might not be able to see this pattern quite so well, but you can now see it. If I kind of move it a little bit, you can see that beautiful squares on here. And then the next thing we're going to do, if I can find my brush, so we're going to take a little more foil adhesive, and I'm going to, this is what I call a studio jar. I take my gallons and pour them off into quarts so that they're more manageable for me. They don't get dried out so fast. All right, and now I'm going to take a little bit on here, on my brush, and we're going to apply foil adhesive over this. Now this looks very watery, and there's a very good reason for it, because I just washed my brush, and there's, even though I thought I wiped it out, there's still a lot of water in my brush. You don't want it super watery like this. You don't want to thin your foil adhesive down more than 5% if you can avoid it. I'm probably going to have to come back over this. We're going to see what happens. As that evaporates a little, as I brush on here, I'll probably come back and put some more foil adhesive on. And hopefully this will be dry enough by the time I'm done with the other one, our big Santa, or big Christmas sign. Hopefully I'll be able to get this dry enough, quick enough, that we'll be able to release that other translucent foil over it. I cannot guarantee it because, as you know, a little bit humid in the studio today, and I don't want to take the chance of ruining something because I rushed it. Plus, you won't get a good release anyway. You might just, all that happens is if when you do this before the foil adhesive is ready, it will not only not release, it might pull the adhesive up, and it might pull whatever's underneath the adhesive up. So I could pull this all the way down to other stuff, like to the old foil, because it can be very aggressive. Which is surprising because set coat doesn't want to come off of anything, but I have done it. But we're not we didn't rush the set coat, so the set, probably just pull it down to the set coat black. It's on here. Now this is one of those challenging shapes because there's a lot of open spots, and I'm kind of constantly cleaning up the dribbles, and then I take it off the paper and put it on another piece of paper to let it dry so that it doesn't adhere itself to the paper and I don't have all these kind of funny marks from it. And normally I'm really specific in the way I apply this because I want it as smooth as possible. Because I have so many odd shapes, I actually just try to apply it with those shapes in mind. You know, work with the scrolls, work with the flow of it, so that as the next layer of foil is applied, it looks visually correct on here. Okay. So as I was setting everything up for today, we're going to be working with stains a little later. I found one of the jars of stains had spilled, and oh, what a mess. Hey, Amy, Alice, Beverly, and Desiree, thanks for all of you coming in today to see what I'm up to. So first, we're just going to, again, work on this foil adhesive for a few minutes. And then we're going to work on the big Christmas sign. And if you're asking why I'm doing it in this order, well, if I want the opportunity to try to release that other baby's breath foil over this, I need to let this foil adhesive set up. If I had done this last, I guarantee you wouldn't have seen me releasing the baby's breath foil today because it wouldn't have a chance to dry before I needed to say goodbye. So let's keep going here, get all of this on. I really do love the shape of this sign. This is cut out of steel and then powder coated, and it was done by a vets group out of Connecticut. My friend Camilla, who you have seen in the studio, seen me in all kinds of pictures with and stuff, she lives in Connecticut and found this vets group that does all these wonderful steel cutouts. The fairies that we were gilding before we closed the other studio space were made by the same company. Okay, now I can come back in here. Now this is sort of dried a little. My brush isn't all soaking wet. I can come in and reapply some foil adhesive to the areas that you could tell my brush was just too wet and it was very watery. Now it'll set up like it should. I love when I'm really, really smart and rush too much and, you know, do something dumb like have a super wet brush when I'm trying to use something like foil adhesive that doesn't want to be wet like that. You know, there's days you think you're smart, and then there's days that you work really hard to prove yourself wrong, and today was one of those days for me. And I spilled stain. I had stain. I think that's what I was saying before, is that I went to get some bottles of stain to work on our Christmas sign, and yeah, oh my God, one of the bottles had tipped over, filled the bottom of the basket with black stain. So before I could even consider what stains I was going to use, I had to spend about 40 minutes cleaning everything, cleaning all the stain off of everything, so that there was a prayer of finding even the color, because yeah, it was a mess. Okay, so I think we are covered here. Let's move the foil adhesive and the brush out of the way. I'm going to put the brush over here, so hopefully I don't forget to wash it. I have been doing that a lot lately too. I'm telling you folks, there are days I think I'm so smart, and then I really, really work hard to prove myself wrong. Now I'm going to take this and shift it on to a different piece of paper, because this has got all those marks on there and I don't want it to stick to it. Actually, what I might do is do that and then set it on the back of this so I don't waste it. And then I'm going to set that down on the floor and let it cure up while we do our next part of this. Take a little sip of water. Pop over here. Hi, Donna. Nice to, oh, sorry, not Donna, Diana. I thought it was somebody else. I'm telling you, I'm getting blind on top of everything else. I cannot see distances, even with my glasses on, to try to read something. All right, so there, we're going to move that. Let's get our sign. Now, let's got this here. Let me see if I can raise my camera a little bit so you can see up higher. That should help a little. There we go. Okay, well, you can see most of it, and then I can pan it down as we go this way. I'm just checking what the visuals are so you have an idea of what I'm doing, and I'm not doing it off camera. So we're going to stain this, and we're going to stain the background. I'm not going to worry about the truck. I'm not going to worry about the tree for now. We're going to stain the background on this. And because it's a holiday sign and I want it to pop, I'm going to stain it red. We're going to use our Saman cherry stain. And cherry comes out very, very red, which I love about that. So I'm going to put it in here. Now, Saman is a water-based stain, and it has re-wetting properties, which mean that when you brush this on, I know you're all going to yell at me because I'm going to do this without gloves, but when you brush this on, if I walked away with this half stained, I could come back the next day and brush stain on and not have a line, because the stain is water-based and doesn't seal. It re-wets itself so you can blend it out. The other thing we're going to do is take a little bit of Saman chocolate, because we're going to put a little shadow around here and down at the edges. And I think that's going to look really, really nice. So let's put some chocolate in there. We don't need that much. So what you need is a couple chip brushes, your stain, little cheesecloth, whoops, not with something stuck to it. Now I did sand this before, just to take off the high spots, and these areas in here have been done very aggressively with a router. And so I did take, this is a little manicure emery. So these two ends basically are like a nail file. And so I did go in here and try to knock down some of the really rough spots. But I don't want to do that too much because they're going to absorb stain differently, and that actually may look really, really good for us. So I'm going to switch the camera down to the end. Because I'm left-handed, I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up. Just is the way that works best for me. Move everything I don't need out of the way because staining is messy. But I will tell you, I have used Saman water-based stain, covered my hands in it, and taken a shower that night and it's gone. The only thing that it stained was like the cuticles a little bit because my cuticles are always rough and dry. Why? Probably because I do this kind of thing. So we're gonna smush this in to all the crevices. And the other thing that helps is to have a little spray bottle with some water so that if it gets too dry while you're working, you can spritz it down with a little water. My stain bottles have been open a while, so it's feeling a little thick. So I might just take a little water, mist it on there, and it just moves a little better. And this will help me later when to be able to remove the excess stain when I'm done too. Now, you can stain the edges or you cannot stain the edges. I'm not going to stain the edges because what I'm going to do is paint the edges in a different color, and then I will paint the back probably something else solid. Unlike some of the other holiday signs that you get from Michaels that are really easy to flip over and do both sides of them, this one is not. This on the back of this, it's just a flat board. So I think it might be best for this one just to paint it something nice and solid and durable on the back, since I know I won't be making this one to flip over. Now, of course, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. You know, I'm doing this in an echo chamber, so I don't always know if what I'm saying is being understood, and that is not your fault, that's mine. So I may just not be communicating it to you in a way that makes sense. Let's flip this up this way. So don't hesitate to ask any questions. If you don't understand, it's not your fault, it's mine. It means I haven't gotten it to you in the right way. So, all right, so we're almost to the top of this. And I'm not too worried if I get a little stain on the truck or anything, because I'm going to paint the truck. I have plans for the truck. And it looks like I'm covering up the lettering that says happy, but I promise you, once I've completely stained the whole thing and I start wiping it back, the letters will be exposed again. And I'll get up here in a minute, but I need to finish the big part first. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is mist a little water on here because, again, this is a water-based stain, so it's also water activated. Yeah, Desiree, it was a heck of a mess. Ugh, what a mess I made. Hi, Bev. Nice to see you here. Okay, so I'm going to take some cheesecloth. And this is our cheesecloth we sell. It's pre-washed, pre-cut, so it's lint-free, which is a really big deal, especially when you're doing something like this, where you don't want lint catching on the wood. Okay, so you can see I'm kind of misting this a little bit. I'm actually going to also go back in with the brush to make sure it's damp everywhere. And I didn't miss anything like corners. And then I'm just going to take my cheesecloth. And you don't want to do this with just one or two pieces. You want to kind of make yourself a pad. Now, I didn't do a very good one, but the reason you want a pad is that when you're wiping stuff back, you don't want to see your fingerprints, your finger marks show up and stuff. Look how beautiful this red is. As I wipe it back, you can see the grain. Beautiful color. So I'm going to come back up here, re-wet it a little bit because it's kind of soaked into the wood and dried a little bit more than I wanted it to. Just do this. Wipe that back. And this has a little bit of a bow to it. That's why it's sort of bouncing as I do this. Let's come back over here. It's bouncing a little as I do this because this has been sitting for a couple of weeks. I bought it while we were still trying to do the move and set it aside, so it kind of got a little bowed in where I was storing it. And you see, as I wet it, I can just come back and remove more and get it to the shade that I want it. It's very easy to work with, and just because my hands look like this, that doesn't mean much. That'll wash off with soap and water. You'll see me on a live or something tomorrow. No stain, nothing. I just want to soften up this red a little bit. I didn't want it quite as deep as it was grabbing. Okay, I'm going to take that pad, throw it off to the side. I'm going to create another one. Now, I will come back and wipe on this some more in a minute. But the next thing we're going to do is take our other brush, which is wherever I put it, over here. And we're going to take a little chocolate. Now, where are we going with the chocolate? We're going to add sort of a shadow to this. We're going to add a little bit of a deep kind of clouding around it. I've seen this done with paint. I've done this with stain before. It looks so pretty. And because these are water-based stains that re-wet with water, the ability to blend them like this is super easy. So it looks very harsh when I'm doing this right now. But what's going to happen is I'm going to come in with my cheesecloth and I'm just sort of pat it a little bit and then rub it until it looks almost like a shadow. And you see now we get that nice dark tone right up here where it's darker up at the wheels, and then it kind of brightens up again here. And then let me flip my camera down to the other end. We're going to do the same thing down here. And it kind of creates a little bit of a halo effect. So that makes those center letters pop out even more. And I can go all the way up the side of this if I want to. But I like to just kind of come in and pat it first so that I don't want to rub it back. I want to blend. I don't want to see a perfect semicircle like I got right there. So I'm going to blend that a little bit. And it just gives that little bit of age patina to the whole thing. So I can come up along these edges and soften that right there. And I don't want to do it with the red because the red then gets muddy looking. If I just add that little bit of brown to things, it makes it very pretty. And again, if I think it's a little too harsh, little water on my cheesecloth blends it down. So again, we get beautiful shadow tones right there. And let me come up on the other side. A little to the center. Just move a little bit up, all the way to up one side and down the other. And again, coming in, just sort of patting it and scrubbing it a little bit. It gives a really lovely kind of aged patina to it. Now clearly I have to come in up here around the tree and around the car and all of that. So I need a little bit of a smaller brush to do that. So let me grab what I need. All right, now I'm gonna angle the camera and zoom a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. See if it's a little better for everybody. Adjust the zoom. Let's do this way. I think that makes it a little easier for you all to see. There we go, centered in. So I'm going to take the cherry on a smaller brush, and I'm going to come in here and stain this. And again, I'm not worrying if I stain the edges of the truck accidentally. That's not a big deal. I'll deal with that because I'm going to paint over the whole truck, so it will be a different tone than what I'm doing with the stain. The only thing you have to watch out with staining up here is that these are made for Michaels, and they're not expensively made, which often can mean that there's sloppiness with glue application, so just be aware of that. You might have a little funny spot where glue is resisting the stain. Again, I'm not worrying about staining any of the tree because the tree is going to get painted as well. I want this stained. I'm going to work on giving it a somewhat rustic look, but not completely. All right, so I've applied my stain. I'm going to come back in, rub it down. And then I'm going to use the same brush, kind of wipe it off a little bit, and come in with the chocolate. And I'm just sort of dabbing it in because it's going to fit more in with this color than the red, red, red. Oops, a little bit caught there. And let's get in there. Little spot. Don't be surprised when you miss spots. You change your angle, you change the way you see how you've done things. It just happens. So now this is damp. This whole surface is damp. It's going to need to dry. And before I can paint it, it also has to be sealed, because as soon as I apply any water-based product over here, including paint, it's gonna lift it. So I'm gonna come back tomorrow and carefully apply my, actually, it'll be fine. If I apply from the center, working my way out, I won't disturb the shadow. I've done this on other sides, but I definitely don't want to overwork the area so that I lift the stain out, especially since I've worked hard to get this little bit of two-tone, which I'm really happy with, by the way. Might want to put a little more in here. Let's see. I don't want to create that art line that I just dabbed in, but I want to make sure it's really clear that there is two different shades right there. I like that. There we go. I'm very happy with that. So tomorrow, I could do it later tonight, but I'll probably do it tomorrow. I'll come back and I will seal it. Hey, Gail and Sandra, thanks for popping in. Okay, so now we have to let this completely dry. If I don't let this dry and try to top coat this right now, it's so wet, all of the stain will just simply lift up off of here and soak into the top coat, which is kind of useless. I want to let this dry, then I can apply the top coat over it quickly and easily. I will then, you know, it's not even probably going to be a top coat. It's probably going to be a layer of something like Set Coat Clear that I can just quickly apply, and it will seal this up so that then I can paint in my letters. I can paint around here and not disturb the stain. I wouldn't do it the other way around, because the stain, I'd end up making a mess on everything that I was painting. Whereas if I just stain this now, leave it be, and come back, it will be easily sealed and I will be happier. All right, let me put this to the side back here. And let's bring up this. Well, clearly, let me shift the camera around. Clearly, this has not been long enough. This is super, super gummy. I cannot release any foil on here right now. I was hoping, quite frankly, I was hoping the staining would take longer. It didn't. I worked much faster than I expected, so oops, we gotta let this dry for a while. All right, everybody, let me flip the camera down. Let's move things around a little bit. All right. And I will flip it up so that we are talking to each other. All right. Making sure that's me in the camera, not just the top of my head. So today we worked with Artsyville foil adhesive. We worked with Berkeley in silver, Berkeley squares, Berkeley foil in silver. I wanted to apply the Baby's Breath, our brand new Baby's Breath foil. Okay, you think I was kidding when I said there was stain everywhere. That's black stain. That's what I've been cleaning up. Now, fortunately, it won't hurt the foil, but I really like to get it off of there so I can stop touching it. Okay. Let me open this up for a second. Now that I've got the stain off of it. Get that bad piece of tape off too. So what we want to do, just so I'm giving you a quick demonstration without releasing, is we're going to put this translucent Berkeley foil, baby's breath foil, over the Berkeley foil. So we'll have a double pattern on there, and I think that will be very, very pretty. Now, I gotta wait for that to set up for a little while first, because 10-15 minutes is definitely not long enough. We will not get a good release, and I told you it's been humid here today, so that's not going to be a good result for us at all. And then on top, after we did that, we used our, oh, that's where it's coming from. Jeez. Black stain everywhere. I thought I had all the bottoms cleaned off. I missed this one. So we used Simone stain in cherry and in chocolate to stain our wood and give it that beautiful rustic kind of barn red look that I love so much, and letting that one set up. Now, tomorrow I will not be live with you. We're going to be in our new video studio. Sorry, I am stumbling. It's Monday for me too. Tomorrow I will be in our new video part of our studio. We'll be doing some shorts and some reels. Miguel will be working with me. We'll probably have some stuff posted from that by the end of the day tomorrow, but it's not the day for lives. That's when I get Miguel and we get into the video area. We're working hard on making other content for YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, reels, all of that stuff, because I'm not really good at doing that all by myself. Anyway, let's see if anybody had anything else. And I think we're all good today. Now, again, if you haven't understood something I've said today, it's me. It means I'm not getting the information to you. So don't hesitate to post a question. And if you don't want to post it to the page, even if I encourage always posting it under my videos. But again, if you're not comfortable posting it publicly, send me a message. I'll answer you, I promise. All right, everyone, have a wonderful afternoon. I'm going to try to clean up all the stain off of my hands. And maybe I'll even be able to get this dry enough by the time I clean up that I can do a short video of me releasing over this sign, and I'll post it in a little bit. All right, everyone, have a terrific evening. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.